Welcome to the Brand Lincoln Podcast, the show where we dig into the stories behind Lincoln's most inspiring business owners and influential people. It's where big ideas and even bigger personalities collide. Proudly sponsored by Perch Merch, your one-stop shop for screen printing, embroidery, and promotional products that make your brand unforgettable. Call us at 402-217-5212 or visit us at perch-merch.com to give your business the glow-up it deserves. And don't just listen, be a true multitasker. Like, follow, and subscribe on whatever platform you're tuning in on. And check us out on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Brand Lincoln Podcast. We're basically everywhere you waste your time. Let's get inspired, Lincoln. The stories start now. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Brand Lincoln. I am your host, Chris Beecham, joined by my co-host, Henry Schmidt.
Hello, Chris.
And Joe Cruz.
Hello, everyone.
How you doing today?
It is a bright, beautiful day. Great to be alive.
Okay. So today in the Perch Merch studio is Drew Sallinger of Liquid Assets Sports Bar and Grill, located at 2755 Dramey Lane, where was the former Tanks, was the former Grata, former Local. Am I missing anything else?
Grata one more time before that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Grata, Local, Grata, Tanks.
Yep.
Is that the order that
It's a tongue twister.
And now Liquid Assets.
Correct.
So, Drew, tell us, how did this come about?
Some might say by accident. Some might say on purpose. You know, it was kind of one of those things that myself and Mike, one of the other business partners, have been talking about for 3 years. I used to bartend at that exact spot when it was Grata. Me and him were always looking to open a sports bar or some kind of bar on the south side of Lincoln. Left Grata, and I think me and him over the last 2 years have looked at 3 or 4 different spaces. You know, the remology space went vacant. Me and another guy who owns a different bar, we're looking to get into that one. I
really liked that bar too.
Yeah.
And I just liked the vibe, and the location was just perfect for me.
Always enjoyed that one. It was right across from my day job, so we just walk over there all the time. And I was like, we should buy this bar. And the leasing company wasn't the easiest to deal with. And I was grabbing a drink one day down at Tanks, and the owner down there was, bullshitting with me a little bit. And I went over and said, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. It just sucks because they're being kind of a pain. He goes, well, why don't you buy this from me? I was like, oh, come on. Don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah.
I immediately made a phone call to Mike, who immediately made a phone call to Todd. And lo and behold, here we are.
What was the process like?
They had it sold by the time he left the bar that day.
He just gets behind the bar. Everybody, I own this place now.
I'm the captain now.
No, that is very far from it. If it went my way, that probably would have been how it went. But thankfully, I have 2 guys beside me who are much smarter than I am. So I got one guy who's in the business world and one who's in the legal world, and they kind of took it from there. It was the contracts, the negotiations, the making sure that we crossed every T and dotted every I and didn't put ourselves in a bad situation. So
yeah, because Todd opened up Tanks down in the Haymarket.
Correct.
So I said that was just, he wanted that to be his focus, or was that
the Tanks country down there and Corner Bar? So he's got 2 bars down in the rail yard.
Got it.
What's the corner bar?
The Corner Bar used to be Longwell's.
Oh, okay.
Got it.
That's a good name. That's a good name for it.
Yeah,
On
I
the
like
corner.
that. Huh. Okay. So what's the first thing you did? Like when you
got the keys.
Yeah.
First thing I did when we got the keys is we cracked a beer.
At a discounted rate. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it had been one of those things where we were, it was stressful leading up to it. And then when we finally kind of, signed the dotted lines and got handed keys, it was one of those, I think we can breathe for a second for very long, because there was a post-funeral ceremony that Monday that, the Todd, the previous owner, had already agreed to do. And I mean, what are we going to do? Tell him no?
So what day did you get the keys?
It was like a Friday.
So you had 2 days to prepare for an event?
Like 2 or 3 days. So we were in there kind of cleaning and organizing and making sure that we had stuff in there. And, it wasn't like we had staff yet. So we were, kind of on our toes to rock and roll that one. So
the way I would explain the bar now, because we've been in there, because you're also going to have some fabulous merch.
Yes, I am.
And it's almost like it's turned into almost a luxury bar. It's the country club of bars. Is that the right way to say it? Like, that's kind of your goal. Tell us your goal or vision for it.
Well, Chris, why don't you tell us your goal?
That was kind of the vibe I got was nice, but yet loungy. at the same time.
So I think a lot of our clientele base are the country club types. Obviously, in that neck of the woods, it's
Wilderness Ridge is right down the street.
yeah, Wilderness Ridge right there. You've got Wilderness Hills. We're definitely in a nicer neighborhood. I wouldn't say that we're going to be bougie by any means, but we just wanted a really good sports bar. Nothing sucks more than when you go to watch sports. You look down and you can't read the menu because it's too dark in there, or there's 7 TVs in there, and there's 10 games on, but you have 7 TVs split between 2 games. And it was really more of one of those things where we wanted to build the best sports bar. It really wasn't about a high-end sports bar. It really wasn't about being pretentious by any means. We just wanted a spot that we wanted to go. Most of the guys in that neighborhood, you should see their basements. You walk down there and they've got projection screens and 7 other TVs down there and a bourbon bar off to the corner, or they got that in their garage, and that's where they watch sports.
So how are you going to get them to leave their man cave, when they have it really nice at home?
Yeah. You've got a perfect setup in your basement. Why would you come see us? We kind of had to go a little above and beyond, but
Which you did. So let's talk about that. So it was more of a live music venue before, correct?
Correct. They were a bar. You had food, mostly pizza and stuff like that, and then a lot of live music. That was kind of their.
But now it's a true sports bar because the TVs alone are everywhere.
Yeah.
And some big ins.
If Mike comes to me and says, I think we're going to add another TV, I might scream.
Where are you going to put it? In the bathroom?
No, yes, actually, putting TVs in the bathroom. That's already been a conversation.
Yes.
And then the food menu, because tell me if I'm wrong on this, but you also have a good chef background type thing.
Yeah. So I was an executive chef, ran restaurants in Lincoln for years. I've been in this industry for 12 years now. Definitely kind of my bread and butter there. Thankfully, I'm not the one in the kitchen. We were able to get our hands on an incredible chef who's got some country club background. I know we're just talking about going a little overkill, but it made our lives really easy. She brought herself, her sous chef, one of our, kitchen manager, whatever you want to call Doc. He's pretty great. So, we got some really good staff by bringing her in, and we kind of gave her the base menu that I had put together and said, do whatever you want. You got free reins here. Do your thing. So.
But that's awesome because that's not a typical sports bar thing. It's just usually
you get
a bunch of frozen processed foods. And
yeah, most sports
fry it
bars,
up.
They're gonna go to Cisco or US Foods and they're gonna go, hey, have your chef make me a sports bar menu. I'm gonna hire 5 guys and 1 kitchen manager who might know how to place an order, might not, and we're just gonna deep fry some shit and send it out.
What are some of your specialty items or plates?
I think one of our biggest things is the fact that we fry in beef tallow. French fries, chips, potato chips, anything that goes in our fryer is fried in beef tallow.
Beef tallow?
That's a big deal. Chris, do you know about this?
I don't
No,
know.
I was letting Joe.
So not a lot of our viewers would know what beef tallow is.
So it's rendered beef fat.
Okay.
When I'm currently staring at the Golden Arches right now across the way. McDonald's kind of claim to fame many, many years ago was beef tallow French fries.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they changed it.
Then they changed it to seed oils.
Like most places have.
Everyone has, because it's just a lot cheaper and easier. And, it's not always about being cheaper and easier. Sometimes you just want a better product. So, our burgers, for instance, we could have gone with, a nice 70-30, throw some seasoning on it, smash them up, throw cheese and a bunch of other stuff on top and send them out, and no one could tell a difference. But our blend is ribeye, brisket, and chuck. It's all locally sourced.
That's cool.
That sounds spectacular.
Yeah, we put it on a burger bun that I think there's 7 ingredients in it, and there's not a single one you can't pronounce. It's we're trying to not just have crappy bar food.
Exactly. Which is huge in this town. No offense to all the.
No, it is. It's one of those things where, especially, with the health crazes that are going on and all the stuff that's, it sucks because, say if I go home and I go, I want to grill a steak. Well, for the first 3 years the first 2 years of my relationship, I look at my girlfriend and go, well, I'm going to grill a steak. And she's like, can I have a vegan burger? And I go, okay, that's how this is going to go. It's, we wanted to be not only kind of a family friendly spot, but we wanted to be a little more inclusive. Everyone loves sports. You might not want a triple cheeseburger with bacon and a side of fries. You might want a salad or a wrap or, a grilled chicken sandwich or something like that.
Or salmon.
Yeah,
you have salmon too. I hear it's actually very good.
Salmon.
B-Dubs does not have salmon, or definitely not the same tier of salmon, I would imagine.
Yeah, probably not.
How much is a burger and fry meal at Liquid Assets, Drew?
I mean, if you just walked in and looked at the first burger on our menu, which is the Liquid Gold, I think it's $13 for burger and fries.
I don't know how much a Big Mac meal is, but I would guess it's pretty close to that.
Yeah.
Are they waffle fries?
They are not.
Can we work on that?
No, one of my biggest pet peeves is a soggy French fry in a to-go box. So we definitely have made sure we found a fry that was suitable for that. So especially in that area with all the car dealerships, all the people that live over there, Uber Eats, Grubhub, just grabbing food to go, we want to make sure that it gets there and doesn't suck.
No, I like that. Huh. Okay. So let's go back. Where did this whole chef thing come from? Like, has this always been something you wanted to do as far as like the initial getting into the restaurant / bar? Like, let's hear that story.
God, for me, my mom could always cook, and I grew up in the kitchen. From there, at one point in time, I was like 14 or 15. My aunt was dating the chef at Hotel Rome in Aspen, and I was out there on spring break, and they drugged me in there, threw me in a chef coat, and got me to walk around in the kitchen there, and I saw, this bright, shiny, cool world, and from there I was hooked. I mean, there was no going back.
That would be fun.
Yeah, it was definitely an experience to remember. So, and it was kind of cool to see that side of things. This big, cool, hotel kitchen and all the moving parts, and granted it's 100-year-old, hotel, but it was definitely cool to see. It always cracks me up because I'll watch shows and everyone's going, yes chef, no chef, and they're running around this big shiny clean kitchen, and it's like, that is definitely not how that goes. That's very, very far from the truth. Anthony Bourdain had Kitchen Confidentials and a couple other books that really highlighted how nitty and gritty it really is, and I read all of those, and it was easy. When you're young, what can you get hired to do? Well, I can get hired to work in a kitchen. So I just worked in kitchens, and I went from a basement pizza kitchen at, was Pies and Pints, now JJ Hooligans, when it was still in the basement location, to washing dishes at Green Gateau. By the time I left Gateau, I was a line cook and doing catering stuff. And by 21, I was an executive chef at Shillingbridge out in Fallbrook. So
How old are you now?
I'm 28.
Okay. So it's just working out.
Just working.
And now you're a restaurant sports bar owner.
Correct.
So what is your vision for Liquid Assets? Like, say, like in the next 2 years, next 5 years, like what do you envision
to pay the bills and not be a headache?
Okay. Good start. It's a good baseline. Be open in 3 to 5 years.
Be open. It really was a kind of a culmination of what Mike, Todd, and myself wanted. Really more so their vision, which I think we nailed. I've got all the experience in this industry that I need. Mike's wife, Jenny, who's our GM, has been doing this for a long time too. She's absolutely incredible. I think that if we didn't have her, I probably would have laid in traffic by now. So it was definitely nice to have somebody else that knew what they were doing and could make this easier. But Mike and Todd, for all intents and purposes, this is what they wanted. And when you're sitting there watching a game, I don't remember if it was a March Madness game or what it was when it happened to them the first time, but I remember sitting there. It was a World Series game. We're sitting there, game's on, and all of a sudden the band comes on, and we're like, well, I guess we're going to go watch the rest of the game in someone's basement, So we just wanted a sports bar on that side of town.
Yeah, no, I love it.
I do have a question, just out of curiosity. Was there any hesitation on picking that spot, since this will be the 4th bar in the last 15 years to be in there?
Not really, no. I mean, when you look at it, I think it's been 20 years that it's been a bar there. Harry Watson, who had it originally, I mean, he had Grata forever. And then Local had a short stint, but Harry came back with OG Grata and had it for a couple more years. I mean, it really was one bar for 15 years.
Yeah.
And then there was 2 other ones. So no, not worried about space at all.
Okay.
And as far as that area of town,
I suppose it is the only one.
Yeah, think of the other.
I'll try to put this nicely. The quality is not what you have.
No.
Because it's actually been tough to find something in that area. And now that I found you, it's like, this is our go-to now.
Yeah.
Because it was Ramology, but they didn't have food. You got both and sports. So it's like, all right, found it, got it, we're good. And like you said, it's a family friendly place. You can bring the kids, you know, they can eat a good meal too, and they can bond while you watch sports.
It made us laugh one night. We were there, middle of renovations. It was almost 3 o'clock in the morning. We're sitting there and we're just like drinking a beer, and we're like, what else do we have to do? And I kind of looked at one of the guys who was in there helping out, and he had his kids all day, and his wife had just taken him home. And it's like, do we have changing tables in the bathroom? And he's like, no, I had to change a kid on my lap. And I was like, maybe we should do that. Like, if you have a kids menu, should probably put changing tables in the bathroom. And, you know, and then Jenny got high chairs for kids out in the seating area. And it's, you know, we definitely want people to know they can come at any time with their family. You know, it's not that Tanks or Grotto weren't family friendly,
But they were just loud.
Yeah, they were loud. And well, they really didn't have the facilities to want to take your family if you have little kids. We definitely kind of leaned pretty heavy into that. So, you know, our target market is the same market that's been there forever. It's the same people that have gone to that bar for 15 years. We didn't really have to reach out and try and pull more people in. All we did was, instead of, you know, you sneaking out at 10 o'clock when your 10, 11-year-old goes to bed to maybe have a drink or two, you'd bring them in for dinner. You know, instead of, you know, having to wait for a sitter if you want to go out and maybe go there because it's close, it's, well, I can take the little one, hand him a pack of crayons and a kid's menu, and, you know, I can actually sit here and, you know, watch part of the game and not have to, you know, stress about what to do with my kid or, you know, stuff like that. So,
All right. I know that your general manager, we met her. What was her name again? Jenny. And she's in the industry.
Has been for a very long time.
Yeah. So what about Mike? What's Mike's story?
Mike owns Alpha Wealth Investments.
Okay.
So Mike is
not in the industry.
No.
He's in the money industry, is my guess.
Mike is in the money world. He's you know, which was definitely to my benefit. You know, when it comes to a bar, I know pretty much every facet of it. When it comes to business, I probably couldn't have found someone better to work with. So, you know, people pay him a lot of money for his advice, and does he give me more of his advice than I'd like to hear some days? Absolutely. Yeah. But you know what? I'm not paying for it. I get it for free. So I get real lucky.
You always listen.
And he's got a lot of good advice because, you know, I look at it from an operations standpoint of, you know, I want to be hands-on. I want to touch everything. I want to do everything I possibly can there. And he's like, you have to learn to work on your business, not in your business, which might have been some of the best advice anyone's ever given me. You know, it's really easy to be there every minute of every day and micromanage and try and hyper fixate on your business. But if you've hired good staff and you put people in the right places, you stop working in it and you work on it, and maybe work on the marketing aspect, maybe work on, you know, building the brand and growing other things, and maybe look at it from the standpoint of a business, not a bar. You know, and he really hammered that home to me. It's like, you know, you're not you don't own a bar. You own part of an LLC that owns a bar, you know? So there's a lot more business growth there than just fixating on this one thing that we have, because you can either sit here and, you know, play bar manager, or you can run a business. Which one do you want to do? And it definitely was, you know, a flip of a switch for me when he said that. I was like, man, like you're right. Like I could sit here and be another guy who owns a bar and is in it every minute of every day running a bar, and that's all I could know and do. Or I could be a businessman and I could worry about the fact that we have a lot bigger picture to look at.
Yeah. The key to that is finding that right person, which you did.
Yeah. Oh God. He's made my life a lot easier, and, you know, definitely a lot of good advice from him. So,
yeah. I want to know, what are your professional teams? If you're run a sports bar, what teams are you watching on screens?
So it's really hard because myself, Mike, and Todd all have different teams. So
that's why you have so many TVs.
Yeah, that's why we have all the TVs. So we could put Mike's big TV on his game, so he's over there, and then me and Todd can go our separate ways. So he's not, you know, screaming over our shoulders that our team suck. When it comes to baseball, I'm a Cardinals fan, you know, because I like winning. But then we talk about football, and that ideology goes way out the window because I've been a Dolphins fan for 20 years.
Oh, you'd relate to Jake Sorensen very well then.
Yeah, there is not many of us, and it's been kind of a painful road. But you know,
you guys have like a support group that you like get together.
All four of them in the city.
Yeah, Nebraska. No,
yeah.
You occasionally see somebody in that weird shade of blue, and you like hug each other and cry softly for a minute.
Yeah.
Try and move on with the day, but. You know, you see Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, and it laces out, and you're like, I guess I'm a Dolphins fan. So,
Is that really how it came?
That's literally how.
That's awesome.
God.
I was it was 20 years ago watching Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, and it's like Einhorn's Finkel, Finkel is Einhorn. It's like, it's kind of weird, but no, man, it stuck. So
So what are some good sports bars in town that you almost looked at when you knew you were going to own one? Like, I kind of want a little bit of this from here and a little bit of that from there.
and that's kind of the thing, is we really didn't look at the Lincoln market because we didn't want to be another Lincoln sports bar. Mike and Todd both travel a lot. Mike's gone half the year, and one of his favorite places is a sports bar called Zips. I'm down in Arizona, and he's like, they have these chicken skewers. I absolutely love them. We've got to have something like that. And we've got something just like that. But we kind of took it and did our own iteration with it. And we have, our skewers menu. So we have, not just little pieces of fried chicken on a stick. We've got, our chicken skewers. We've got them fried or grilled. We've got steak skewers, salmon skewers, shrimp skewers. Like, we kind of took that idea and really ran with it. But, you could sit there and look at every other business around you and go, what do I like that they do? Or you can go, what do we want this to be? And really just try and hammer on that. Because if you try and be what everybody else was, then, you're either just going to be one more place people forget about, or you're not going to last very long. Lincoln's a rough town to run a bar and restaurant in. Bar and restaurant industry is not an easy industry to be in. So it's kind of one of those things where, go big or go home was kind of our mentality, hence the TVs and, our kitchen staff and stuff like that. It's, if we were going to do it, we were going to overdo it. So
Where did? Sorry.
We're going to cut that, Joe.
I know. No, we're not. He's going to leave it in. Where'd you come up with the name Liquid Assets?
So we were whiteboarding names for a while. We probably had a list of 200 names. I was sitting at work one day, and because I have a day job still, and I got a phone call, and it was, hey, we picked out a name. And I go, okay. They were sitting around, they narrowed it down to a couple, and they're like, yeah, it's going to be Liquid Assets. And I go, awesome, cool. That's fine with me. So
Got it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you have a day job. Do you want to plug that at all?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, sales is sales.
Yeah, sales is sales. I sell cars for a living down at Sedillon. I'm over at the Hyundai location. So that's definitely a great company to work for, and I've really enjoyed that. But
Is that the 27th and
40th?
40th, and the new
one.
fancy
Big
one.
and shiny.
It is very nice. That whole area is developing pretty quickly, which only helps you.
Yeah. No, it definitely does, and it's kind of funny having a day job and owning a business, because you're at your business and you're like, man, everyone's pissing me off. Why are they so stupid? Like, you look over and you're like, you watch them walk by paper towels that need changed out, or you walk out on the patio and there's like 3 glasses sitting there, and you're like, why don't you guys just do your damn job? And then, you're sitting at work and you're like, man, I could really self-reflect on this right now. Like, maybe I should work a little bit harder. You look at your manager, and like, I know why you're mad at me all the time now. And I was like, I walk in here, I look at you, you look at me, and you're like, why are you standing here staring at me? And I'm like, I have that same feeling when I go down to the bar, so I can you definitely got to take it with a grain of salt sometimes. So
Totally understand.
Drew, can you give us like your top 3 favorite items on your menu? Like, if you're going to order something from your menu, what are you picking?
Oh God, we kind of have a Build-A-Burger thing too, so I'm just gonna build a burger, man. I'm gonna get a double-decker, add bacon, some cheese. We got fire roasted jalapenos, throw that on there. The burger is hard not to get. Our French fries are definitely probably one of my favorite sides with that, just because they're amazing, and fried in beef tallow. If I'm not getting a burger and fries, I would say that our salmon skewers are definitely a close second. Really a big fan of that, just because sometimes if you're built like me, you should probably eat healthier. And I kind of try to every now and then, but when you're at a bar, it's kind of hard to. But salmon skewers are definitely up there for me. And then, oh God, our steak salad. That's a good one. Definitely also not something you see at a sports bar very often, but steak salad, got a chimichurri on that. That's definitely a good one.
All right, I might come in and try that.
I feel like we should have done this remote.
Probably
this
should've.
episode.
We could have.
It's just
The bar is
And just
it's
ate-
not super loud. We could have done it at the bar.
tried all the food,
There you go.
as we were there, and just review it as we go.
Yeah,
Maybe there's a part 2. That'd be kind of fun.
guys, we literally just had the ticket on our stage. We could have done this on our stage too. So
Got it.
Oh, I forgot about the
missing
stage.
out, yeah.
Right in front of the
We'll
huge
do a
TV.
live. We'll do a live.
Oh, on this?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll just be eating the whole time. That's all you'll hear in the
Like, no
microphone.
conversation.
Shopping. Yeah.
Shopping.
Now, the steak salad was really good. Thanks, Drew.
Mhm.
Let's try those skewers again.
Mhm. Oh my gosh.
Drew, is there anything else you want us to talk about?
I mean, it's
Anything you had in your mind you wanted to make sure you got out?
balls in your court. This one now, man. I guess really our big thing is just wanting to get the word out and wanting to get people down there, and wanting people to know that it's not the same bar it's been for the last 20 years.
Sure.
Not that there was anything wrong with any of the bars that were there. I enjoyed both of them a lot. I went to both of them all the time, but we're kind of a fresh face. It's hard when you're going into a spot where there already has been something.
And the patrons don't like change.
No, God, no. It's Lincoln, Nebraska. If they like change, they'd live somewhere that, change more frequently, but that's kind of why we live here. It's peaceful. No, I think everyone's been super receptive to the change, though. I mean, when it's been the same spot for a while, you kind of want something fresh, especially when it's by where you live.
Well, shoot, when you put out the great food menu like that, then that'll shut them up.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people live, they used to walk in and it was kind of gray and gold and that was their color scheme. And now you walk in and the first thing you see is a giant green wall and, 2,600 some odd inches of TVs. And I think we have like 38 TVs right now and we're just adding more. So I don't know when we're going to stop on TVs. I really don't.
And that's okay.
I show up some days and there's another box.
The people want bathroom TVs.
TV. No,
Stall TVs.
We know, man.
Yeah, urinal TVs.
Yep.
And there's Keno, so that's always a bonus for me.
That's March Madness with Keno was insane. People are there all day too. I mean, we had a line out the door before we opened the doors for March Madness. I mean,
that's got to feel incredible though.
Yeah.
Until they
for a little while.
So, yeah.
you kind of walk in and you go, oh crap, what do we get ourselves into? But also, I mean, it's a week or two after you open your doors and you walk in on a Thursday and it's 12:30 in the afternoon and there's not an open seat in the entire place. That's an incredible feeling. You kind of look at each other and you go, did we build a bar? Like,
yeah, we did it.
It's kind of working.
Yeah,
it's kind of, I think it worked, guys. Like, definitely hectic in the moment, but you kind of reflect on it and you go, we crushed that. We got the doors open. We were busy through March Madness and we've stayed busy since. And, now we've got baseball coming up and
Golf.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's going to be a big one for us because a lot of the guys that are regulars there already, I mean, they're going to get done golfing and
Thursday, Friday next week, Masters. So
I shouldn't say this because I live over Wilderness Ridge, but if you've ever been to Wilderness Ridge, bar and restaurant, they're definitely going to come to ours when they get done golfing. Not sitting there. So
because I think you have done everything right. Even like you said you were crowded, but it's not crowded in there. You didn't put tables and chairs on top of tables and chairs.
You're not hearing the next person's conversation.
No, that's a big.
It's quieter. It's cozy. It's not on top of each other. Just the whole feel. I just love it.
Yeah. Well, good. That's kind of what we're going for.
Yeah. I think everybody needs to come try this if you haven't, and I guarantee
we got to try the beef tallow.
If you go, you're going to come back. That's the thing, which is the joy of it. It's not going to be a one and done thing. I think people will just keep coming.
I definitely notice that if I've seen someone once, I'm probably going to see them a second or third time so far. So that's been a good feeling.
Well, while you're not running the bar business or selling cars, what are things that you like to do around town for recreation or entertainment?
Oh, dude, I don't have time to do things.
The bar's not a 9 to 5.
No, you're doing stuff all the time. No, it's pretty easy, man. It's take the dog and the girlfriend and go fishing and pretend that I catch a bigger fish than her. By that I mean take the big fish she caught and pose for a picture with it and hand it back to her.
I like that.
Lincoln's definitely grown over the last couple of years. I mean, growing up here, it was one of those things there really wasn't a whole lot to do. And there's definitely more stuff to do now. There's a golf simulator, spot like right across from where I live. I haven't hit that up, but a couple of my buddies have, and I'm like, oh, I'm definitely gonna find out what that's about. If I had time to golf, I would golf. I'm not saying I'm good at it. I'm actually terrible at golf, but I enjoy doing it.
Same, but it's the time.
Yeah, it's the time. It's getting out and doing stuff. Arcades and stuff in Lincoln. I thought that died in the 80s, and now you've got those things popping up left and right, and you got bowling alleys that have been there for 50 years that put a facelift on and now are fun to go to. And yeah, when you run bars, that's kind of what you do is you go to bars. So there's still that, old habits die hard. I definitely still like to pop into the spots I've been, but I'm also definitely a cigar guy. So, if you ask me if I've got an hour of free time in the day and I don't mind smelling like a lit cigar, I'm going to a cigars lounge downtown, popping down, saying hi to Stacy and grabbing a stick. So, you guys ever been down there before?
Jake's?
No, cigars down in the Haymarket.
I have not.
No, I have not.
Yeah, down on 8th and Q, right in the alleyway.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of tucked away. It's a little hidden gem. So you got good drinks down there. And Stacy, one of the owners down there, Stacy Williams, is awesome dude. But I'll go down there, grab a glass of whiskey and a cigar, and kind of breathe for a minute. It's kind of nice.
You leave your bar to go to another bar to relax.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And you get to judge them.
Yeah, well, there's really not much to judge. I mean, it's one of those things where you go in there and you get a drink and a cigar and you sit down and you just talk to a bunch of old dudes about the world, and they've kind of got their old man corner, and you're like, I'm gonna sit down and learn life lessons from a guy who's been divorced 5 times.
They're just happy you came and sat down. They're like, we got one.
Oh, yeah. They'll play a couple games of chess and stuff like that. So
We'll have to go check that one out. Okay, so where can everybody find you? Social media, website, all the fun stuff.
cool. So website is undergoing construction right now.
That's a good name.
I know, right? No, it's just Liquid Asset Sports Bar. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We are on Instagram. We are not on Snapchat or TikTok. Maybe eventually we'll be on TikTok because we have some younger staff, but you're definitely not going to see me doing that. I'm a little too old to be doing TikTok dances in my bar. So, but no,
Don't say that.
You say that now.
there is a video of me dancing around the bar because we have the security cameras, and there was a video of me dancing around the bar with a bottle of champagne in my hand, but that was neither here nor there.
And that should be on TikTok.
No, I'll pass. No, yeah, find us on Facebook. We got updates every single day for what we got going on for the week. You can find us on Untapped if you're a craft beer guy.
Yeah.
That's kind of a huge part of our bar is craft beer.
I didn't even ask about beer.
We have 23 taps, man. I mean, we got
Hell
a
yeah.
85-inch TV with a rotating craft tap menu, and we kind of really hit the beer thing hard. So
What time do you open for lunch?
11 o'clock.
All right.
What are your hours, period?
Our hours period. So during the week, we're 11 to midnight. So we're open for lunch, and then we close at midnight. And then weekends, we are 11 a.m. to 2. I know.
Yes. That's way past my bedtime.
How full is it at 1:30 in the morning on a Friday night?
Surprisingly more full than you'd think. And that's definitely hit or miss too. There's some nights where you've got 60 people sitting around and it's midnight, and then by 12:15 there's not a single person in there. And there's nights where you'll be sitting around and you're like, well, it's 12:30, there's 4 people in here, we might be able to get out of here at a decent time. And then all of a sudden you have 20 people walking in because they were downtown.
They wanted to get closer.
They're within walking distance.
We definitely don't want to be that final bar. Are we going to tell them no if they stop in? No.
Yeah.
I mean, it's and they're usually pretty well behaved. So
What time do you stop serving food?
So kitchen closes at 9 during the week and 10 on the weekends.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of you.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on and talking about it.
This is fun.
Everybody go try it. All right. Thanks, everybody.